Hello and welcome to the very first knife review of Everyday EDC. Little bit of background on everything leading up to this point. It'll take about 30 seconds. So, we wanted to do a knife review channel just to justify, if you watch my introduction video, to just justify literally the reason that we were collecting all these friggin' knives. So, today I received the Civivi Statera. This isn't my first Civivi, nor will it be my last, but I think it would be fun to kind of review a knife that I really haven't had a chance to use, but really wowed me coming out of the box. My original review was going to be something that I'm much more familiar and used with, but figured this would be a little bit more fun, a little bit more interesting, and if I screwed it up, I'd have an excuse because I really haven't used this knife that much. So, getting right into it, we have a Civivi Statera. The action on this knife, despite Civivi having just the absolute best action when it comes to knives. I mean, I have a FYI Practica, and yeah, it feels good, but it just doesn't feel as smooth as this particular knife. The other Civivis that I currently have, which I'm not going to list right now, we'll kind of go into them because I do intend to review those too. But they're smooth, and this thing is just incredible. I mean, we can all just... You can just tell right there, this is the most drop-shut blade. And the blade's not heavy, but it is the most drop-shutty blade that I think I have had yet straight out of the box. And as you can tell, if anybody's wondering, that's why the FYI Practica is grounded right now. I was taking it apart and it got me pretty good doing something stupid. Not really the blade's fault, but I'm going to blame somebody else other than myself. And so getting into the statistics here, we'll kind of go over just the typical knife review. As Metal Complex once said, he knows that people all review some of the same knives, as there's only so many knives that people can review. I hope that these type of reviews, A, are entertaining, and will get more entertaining, especially after this one, but B, really give you a little bit of overview on the knives that you're intending to purchase to kind of help you make the right decision. And as you can tell, I'm actually holding my phone throughout this, so I apologize if I keep moving and it's making you guys dizzy. Or you guy, whoever is watching this flipping video. So to start with, we have a blade length of 3.45 inches. It looks to be a usable blade length of probably closer to 3 inches here. We have a flat grind that starts about halfway through, and it gets down to this very narrow point, typical Civivi style. The blade thickness, though, the stock thickness, we're looking at a 0.12 inches. I mean, that's already starting out at ridiculously thin. I go like that. We have a closed thickness here of 4.55 inches. And an overall thickness here, overall length here of 8 inches. I have found and grown through owning knives, probably start to finish, if anybody can relate to this. You start with the cheap knives, you kind of grow into something, you find out there's expensive knives out in the world. After the expensive knives are found out, you find out there's knockoffs of the expensive knives. So you're like, oh, why would I pay this when I could pay this? And then you kind of get back into the real thing once you start learning about everything that's out there and realizing the quality of things and just how amazing they are. I guess I was kind of going off on a tangent there, but that's where I was going. So this kind of leads me into the fact that this knife in particular is the absolute perfect size EDC. This thing, 8 inches overall, which is nothing that major. I apologize, I was just mowing the yard, this one the hands are a little dirty. But it's nothing overall. I mean, 8 inches is, it disappears in your jeans almost without even noticing it's there. Especially this. I've been carrying this around in basketball shorts all day today. Well, all day as in the past 2 hours since I've had it. But it's absolutely fantastic. Check the typical slice on a paper and cardboard and stuff as soon as I got it in, and it was, as you expect, extremely sharp out of the box, which is fantastic. The blade itself, this is the D2 steel, and you know, to steal another one from Slicey Dicey, I actually am starting to prefer the 9CR18 MOV over the D2 steel, solely because I don't know if it's the unique thing. I don't know if I'm very much influenced by the people that I'm watching these reviews on, or since I've sharpened it, it is extremely easy to sharpen. Haven't really had to sharpen some D2 steel, and keep in mind I am definitely a subpar sharpener at this point, as I haven't really made this I haven't really been doing this all that long, so it'll come in time. Kind of getting into this, if you didn't already know, which you should, Civivi's, which is that nice cool logo right there. Sorry for the light in the phone. Let's see if we can get it to where you can actually see it. Civivi's all come on bearings. They are steel bearings, and they're, God, this thing is just so incredibly smooth. It's not really showing it right there because I look stupid, but it is absolutely insane. Anyways, back to the review. So this thing's 3.7 ounces in weight. Once again, anything under 4 ounces, you guys are not going to feel in your pocket. It's just, you're just not. The unique part about this one, compared with most of the other Civivis, if not all, is it's got this G10, which, by the way, G10 on these budget knives is incredible in itself, but it's got this G10 with these carbon fiber overlays. Obviously not real carbon fiber, but it looks pretty cool. You really can't get many other designs in this other than with the Damascus blade or the different color background. I believe there is a green and maybe a black on black, but gosh, I don't remember. But so this blade is actually stone washed, which is the first one that I think I have seen from Civivi that has this. Just once again, incredible. You got your flipper tab here, that is the first flipper tab, which, once again, not that experienced in this knife world, that has that cutout, and there's just something about it, you know, there's something about it that it looks friggin' awesome. So I can also say that all my other flippers, I have literally grown calluses on my fingers because I will just sit here and flip these frickin' things over and over and over to the point where I actually had to take a break from the flippers and bust out a Spyderco because I couldn't flip a knife for a while because it was that sore. It was one of those where it was uncomfortable to fidget with. So you're like, all right, let's switch it up a little bit. The typical lanyard hole that most knives have that I don't know that anybody uses, and if you do, please let me know. I would love to see a picture of how people are actually using the lanyard holes on these things, because again, once you get into the knife world, you're like, oh, okay, that lanyard holds cool, I'll put a lanyard on it. But you start learning more and more, I don't know how practical a lanyard hole is. I'm sure there's reasons for it or practical uses in the real world that benefit you more than just putting it in your pocket, but, you know, we'll take that as it is. Everybody loves to see the action on these, and I just kind of love playing with it, which is once again why I started a channel at all. But one thing I just noticed is the locking actually wraps around here, which creates a very solid lockup. There's no blade play in this whatsoever. The blade, if we can tell here, is perfectly centered, which one thing I didn't talk about is these liners on the inside, these bronzish colored liners, or brass colored, if you will. There's a couple other knives that do that. I did just get the Praxis in about a week ago, which also has that in it. And there's something about that with tan that really doesn't do it for me, but it might do it for somebody else. It's unique. It's different, so that's kind of cool. Really, that's really about it. So if you guys, I mean, the Statera is, I mean, this thing's so smooth. It's absolutely insane. The design of it, as you can tell, and I apologize for the flashing light. One day we'll get this set up a little bit better. But, I mean, the design of it is just, they've taken so much time. And as somebody else once said, this really kind of lines up with the blade to a little extent, and that's kind of just a cool idea. And I apologize for the thumbs. I smashed both of my thumbs. Actually smash my fingers all the time at work, and so they're just pretty much jacked up at all times. But I want to show the other side of this, which is kind of the same. Last but not least, you got this titanium pocket clip, which is awesome. I mean, it's, for a budget knife, you really cannot, I mean, it's great. The carry on it, I don't know that I would call this a deep carry, because really, this much of it kind of sticks out of your pocket. But again, at 3.7 ounces, and the way that it's angled kind of with the knife, if you will, you'll sit it in your pocket. Imagine your pocket being here. It's going to kind of angle down your pocket, and you're not going to feel it. I mean, this, you don't. You just simply don't feel that at all. Well, that's, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I will do my best to answer any questions, especially for you new guys out there. Rather than somebody as inexperienced as me trying to answer the questions, I suggest you just go watch any other review on these things as you can. But realistically, being a guy without an excessive amount of money and being a guy that has, you know, a love for knives and the fidget factor of the knives and just the look, the function, which, you know, as you get into it, you start to realize that knives are a fantastic tool, but you kind of find yourself cutting paper and finding an excuse to break down cardboard boxes just to use your knife, which I kind of think is ironic, but that's not why we collect the knives. We just enjoy it. So, but back to it. If you really wanted to know more about these knives, I highly suggest you go watch any other YouTube videos, you know, reviews, and start, you know, you'll pick up on different things from different people. But if your first knife is coming into the knife world, you can't go wrong with the Statera. I am not going to recommend it as a first knife solely because it's a little bit more expensive. The price point coming in at, I believe, what did I pay for this? $64. I think it was $64. You could really get some of the $40 Civivis, which I wouldn't recommend anything else at this point for beginning, which I'm sure somebody will criticize me for, but I mean, they're just killing the budget world, other than obviously the Ontario Rat 1, 2, you know, those types of things. So you got the CRG models, CRJB, which are, you know, cheaper than the Civivis, but I have a CRJB Krag as well, and, you know, it's a heavy blade, so the action on it's obviously, you know, it's a heavy blade, it's drop shutty, all that shit, but I don't know, I don't think I like the CRJBs more than the Civivis, but there's also a price differential there, so really can't go wrong with anything CRJB. But if I were to recommend a first Civivi knife, and the knife that is probably holding my number one spot at a favorite Civivi knife, would be the Backlash. I have the Backlash and the ebony wood handles, or the scales, and it just, there's something about that feel that just feels great. But, you know, up to this point in time, I've held 2.5-inch knives all the way up to 4.5-inch knives, and you kind of start to realize what you like in a knife, which is cool. So, you know, maybe go buy a bunch of $5, $6, $10, $15 knives at first, just to get a feel for what you want when you go to invest some money, and you can feel the difference in the weights, the way it fits in your pocket, the blade lengths, obviously within legal limits as well, but you don't know what you like until it's in your hands, and you can watch these things all you want, and they're fun to watch, but you really do not know what type of knife you want that fits you, your personality, your feel, you know, the blade length and all that. You just don't know until you just start feeling different knives. You know, it doesn't mean you have to go purchase them. I mean, go to a blade show, go to a knife store, you know, anything. Just start handling different knives, and you're going to start really realizing what a good action feels like versus something that's overpriced, you know, that it just, as they say, get away from the M-Tech knives and start looking at the QSP Parrots, or the Ontario Rats, or the Civivis, the CRJBs. You can't go wrong with these things. Hope this was informative. Hope you guys had a little bit of fun. It's not that fun yet, I'm sure. I apologize. My voice is probably annoying as hell, and my jokes suck ass. But we're going to get better at them. I am also going to keep the profanity to a minimum if possible, but yeah, that's just kind of who I am. I work in a mill, so here we are. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, it's been fun. Thank you for watching Everyday EDC. I am going to try to upload my next review within the next 4 to 5 days. If you guys enjoy it, feel free to like it, feel free to subscribe, etc., etc. Typical YouTube BS. Thanks. Oh, by the way, as you can tell, wife stuff. But, oh, by the way, stay out of the riots. Don't catch COVID. Take it serious. Let's get through this crap and move on with our lives. Be safe.